Thank you very much, Shweta. Once again, a warm welcome to all of you. And first of all, I'd like to compliment the World Energy Environment Foundation for consistently organizing this conference related to energy and environment in the last several years. And this conference always discusses issues on very relevant and topical themes. And we all know that presently world is going through and facing a lot of challenges in terms of energy transition, looking for cleaner, better energy sources which emit out much lesser or no emissions as such. In line of that thinking, this conference has selected this theme as to how the gaseous fuels are really having opportunity in coming time to be the preferred sources of fuel, and how the decarbonization can play an important role in terms of making energy sources more cleaner and greener and perhaps the best for the mankind in coming years. So what I'll try to do is I'll just have 2-3 slides to set the context, and then we'll have our eminent speakers here, number of them here, which have wonderful presentations and all. So I'd request them to limit their presentation to just about 10 minutes and then give more time for question answers so that we make it more interactive and not just a monologue. If that is okay, then we'll start with our this thing. So if you see the main issue that the energy transition, what are the main features that the world is experiencing? I try to list down. There is a lot of pressure to keep the emissions under control, reduce them, or have, to the extent possible, no emissions on that. Decarbonization is one of the most important process that has emerged, can have great potential in terms of moving to a cleaner and greener energy sources and sort of mitigate the climate challenges. But the pace with which this should happen is not happening actually. The pace that was decided and discussed in the Paris COP meeting, we are far away from that. So there is a big challenge there. We also see that in the emerging kind of new research that are coming up and potential that has hydrogen and carbon capture perhaps have the potential to really dramatically change the energy scenario and gainfully impact the climate change challenges on that. And world is moving from more oil to cheapest oil actually, and we have seen so many transitions in the past. It's nothing new that we are seeing now, but the rate of pace of this change and the quantum and magnitude is great. So that's the important thing. Otherwise, we've had several, see from the time, if you see 1.5 centuries old, there have been energy transitions all the time, and there have been changes there. But this is a very, very significant change and transition that is taking place. And gas is supposed to be playing more important part in this transition. If you see among the all other fossil fuels, they are drastically, their contribution in the primary energy source is decreasing. It is only the gas which is expected to keep the contribution to more or less similar as it is now. It's around 24%, 25% of that. But the more polluting sources like coal, oil are all reducing dramatically. And by 2050, it is expected that the fossil fuels and the non-fossil energy would be around 50-50. It all depends upon the pace of change that is happening and new developments that may have more effect and may perhaps hasten this process of shifting towards more cleaner energy. Among all these changes, as I said, gas is the one which is able to sustain its contribution, and within the gas, it is LNG, which is perhaps to my mind is going to thrive in terms of for long distance, and maybe we may have to perhaps see that gas, as we are all referring to, that it is a transition fuel, may not be really a transition. It may be there for a long time to be there. So what is the decarbonization? That's the theme here. Decarbonization is about reducing the carbon dioxide emissions, reducing the carbon intensity. It's not going to happen easily. I think one of the important thing is, which is a joint study of the EIA and the Renewable Energy Authority, which says that 70% reduction in emissions by 2050 is possible if we focus on decarbonization of energy economy. And what it means is that we need to change dramatically our own behavior in terms of how we produce and use the energy. We all talk about transition, cleaner, and we need to really examine as an individual what is our contribution. Are we also following the recommendations worldwide and trying to use energy in a very justifiable way or not? So there is a behavioral change, and I think every individual has to look at their behavioral change as to how they are doing it to reduce the carbon footprints and also use cleaner energy and use it judicially. I think that's very important, that. Along with the carbon dioxide emissions control, carbon capture and technologies like carbon capture, utilization and storage are going to play a very important role. So there's a lot of development that is happening in all energy sectors here on these aspects, and they have great potential. The challenge is how efficiently we can capture it, one thing, but then more important is how do you store and use the carbon dioxide? Is there any way that we can use it and make it as a kind of a circular economy? So there are many initiatives, and I've just tried to lift there that in the MIT very recently, they have captured the carbon dioxide and chemical catalytic reactions, they have converted into fuels which can be reused again. So it's a great thing that they are trying to match, and these experiments are very successful. And there are some projects like the auto manufacturers. The auto industry is a major consumer. So auto industry like MAN and Audi, which are major corporations here, they are actually engaging on projects where they can capture carbon dioxide and reconvert them into reusable fuels so that you can really recycle it and dramatically reduce the carbon footprints. They have recently in Germany set up a synthetic natural gas plant taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, using hydrogen there and converting into fuels. About 2,800 tons capacity of capturing carbon dioxide per day has been established successfully, and now they are putting up a big plant in Chile on the same technology. We also talk about hydrogen, but hydrogen we must be very careful because there are technological big challenges there in terms of its production, in terms of its storage, in terms of even transportation, and we need to really develop so many new processes, products to really deal with hydrogen, which is a very unique, very light element, but is perhaps the ultimate source of energy which gives no emissions. So target of course is hydrogen, but then how do you really overcome these challenges in terms of dealing with hydrogen? That one of the recent development actually, if you see, has been use of ammonia. And I think just about 2 days back, Toyota, manufacturer of car of Japan, declared that they have a car to run on ammonia. This is a great development, and I think these kind of dramatic innovations and changes can really change the world's approach and use of energy worldwide. Ammonia is much easier to handle. You do not need that cryogenic systems for that, and it can be used as such also as energy source, as also perhaps the best carrier for hydrogen. So these are the new developments that are taking place. I just want to show you the some of the experiments that have done on the new business imperatives that are trends that are there in the world. Europe has come out with their aspiration that the emissions need to be controlled, and since the automotive sector is a major contributor and considered as polluter of the emissions, what they have said is that the combustion engines need to be either innovated to really have minimal emissions, or otherwise by 2030 there would not be any more autos produced, manufactured in Europe based on internal combustion engines using hydrocarbons as the fuel. So this is a kind of a scenario we all should appreciate is happening, that in Europe, if the internal combustion engines fitted cars are not manufactured, what is going to be the impact on the mobility of people there? So these are the new trends that are happening. ExxonMobil is developing a waste to usable energy form, synthetic biofuels on that. Financial institutions also, let's make it a point on that. Financial institutions which are funding major projects of the corporations are now seeing which projects are sustainable. That means which are less polluting, and they would like to really fund only those projects. So they see that if it is a polluting project, not fitting as a sustainable definition, then it is a risk for them. And this is a new trend that we are seeing. So in terms of investments also in oil and gas, fuels, oil sector, there would be a kind of a check that which projects get funding and will go ahead based on their emissions basis. Just this month only, McKinsey has come out, in this October only, just about a week back, has come out with a report on the India decarbonization scenario. Now, if you see that, the top dotted line is the one which is business as usual as it is going. So this is going to be the kind of emissions which is about 1.3% starting right from 2009 onwards. Same, no changes. Then the blue one, lighter blue one, is the one where we have the country's commitments, what we call India's commitment to NDCs. If we really follow that, then we can perhaps have a reduction of about 86% of the emissions on that. But this is still far from the 1.5 kind of commitment which COP Paris had advocated, and many of those countries have pledged for that. So it is still far from there, and we need to really achieve that. Only the possibility is that if we apply all the accelerated policies aimed at reduction of the emissions, and particularly deploy decarbonization as a major initiative, carbon capture, utilization and storage technologies there, then only we can perhaps achieve that. So it's a run against time, I must say, and it's a big challenge. So in that decarbonization, what all initiatives are there, I think we'll discuss now and see how our eminent panelists are having to share their initiatives. We'll run through that, request them to have limited around 10 minutes for their presentation, and then have more time for discussion there. And feel free to ask questions with any of the panelists on that. So with that, I would request my first speaker, Mr. Kadri, to please make a presentation on that.